Welcome back, people, to another video on LSTV, and I'm here joined by Full90withKish. What's going on, brother?
Yes, not doing too bad, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, United, United, United. We love you.
United, United.
I'm good still.
That's good, man. But yeah, being a United fan right now is just not. It's just not it, man. But let's get straight into it. So today we're gonna talk about should Amorim stay even if he wins the Europa League final. So I'm gonna start with you, Kish. How do you feel about that opinion? What do you think?
Well, let me say this, right? When Amorim just came in, I'm about winning, right?
Mhm,
And I
mhm,
think a manager should win no matter the circumstances. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying?
mhm.
I believe that football can be played in more than one way. This notion where like managers need specific players, like I can buy into it when they're actually building something, but in the moment I feel as if they should try to use something that can get them the results that is needed, right?
Mhm.
And when Amorim just came in and he was adamant on the 3-4-3 formation, I was like, um use something that can get to the results until they get your players. You know what I'm saying? Use something
Yeah.
until the summer transfer window, the preseason, whatever the case is. And I was really strong on that. And then I kind of just reserved my thoughts in the sense that listen, it is what it is. He's not going to change. So um whatever the case is, right?
Mhm.
And then I've had conversations where I'm like, are you guys telling me that even if the team is supposed to get relegated, it's good because he was playing the 3-4-3, like because that's his system? So
Yeah.
the detriment of United being relegated would be down to Amram and just him being adamant on his formation and the players buying into that. When
Yeah.
is it a time for results? At the end of the day, like the players that we have at our disposal, they're international players. I think they're better than what they actually are showing at this moment in time, right?
Mhm.
And it is on the manager and his team to get the best out of them, right? And if it's not the 3-4-3 right now, then it's either the 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3, right? So to answer your question, with that being said, and me reserving my thoughts on how he came in and started to do his thing, listen, I think he should stay even if he wins or loses the Europa League final. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Okay.
Um, at the end of the day, this is not his team. Eric Ten Hag would have spent like 700 million euros or pounds over the 2.5 seasons, and we have not seen anything from that money. You know what I'm saying? The only
No.
success story to an extent has been maybe Lisandro Martinez, and he's becoming injury prone, right? Other than Lisandro Martinez, not really much to write home about in terms of majority of Eric Ten Hag's signings.
Mhm.
So with Ruben Amorim, again, if whether we lose or not, I think he should be staying. There's no manager in world football that could have come in at the time as Ruben Amorim, and maybe some would have improved things to an extent, but I think it would have still been bad. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I'm on the same exact stance. I just think that yes, he is rigid with his style, and he could have changed maybe to a back four to accommodate the squad because I feel like our squad is a back four squad. That's just what it is. So that's why I think they're maybe showing that they're worse than they actually are because they're used to a certain style or maybe their profiles just fit that specific kind of style. And he could have maybe changed it to a back four, but that's not his philosophy, and I don't think he was ever going to do that. And I think Ineos brought him in knowing that he wasn't going to do that. So for me, he should stay whether he wins the final or not. I think that I can understand people being Amarin out, especially if he loses the final because it's for 17th or 16th in the league. We're losing every league game. It doesn't seem like the system can fully transfer to the Premier League because in Europe, yes, we've had like bad spells in the games, but I don't think we've necessarily played as bad as people are saying in Europe specifically. I think that our system kind of is better in Europe. I don't know how you feel about that.
I mean, yeah, I agree with you in terms of I think the United team is a back four team, right? I think these players
Yeah.
they've predominantly played in the back four. Dalot, um, Mazraoui, when he was at Bayern, he would have been in the back four.
Hmm.
Um, Poles, most of them, Luke Shaw, those guys, you know, I think I might be missing someone else. And the centre backs as well, predominantly play in a
In
in a
Liverpool.
back four. Normally,
Yeah.
United would have only played in a back five when we faced like tough oppositions. I remember like Ole at times when he played against City and those teams, he would have played a back five. Luke
Hmm.
Shaw's the wing back type of thing, three centre backs, right?
Hmm.
So I think they're better suited for like um a back four in terms of like Europe and our system suiting better for Europe. I think every team that plays in a European tournament, I think Europe is just different in terms of the pace of the game. And
Mm. Yeah.
teams not really knowing much about you, seeing that you're not like facing them week in, week out, or seeing them week in, week out. When you play in the Premier, like almost every team knows what you're going to bring to them. You know what I'm saying? Where
Yeah.
Europe, it's a bit more unpredictable in terms of your form could be bad in your league, but you could be good in Europe. We've seen it like not only with United, but with like various teams across football over the years. You know what I'm saying? So I think the European game is just a bit different in terms of Champions League, Europa League, and Europa Conference League. So I think United kind of benefits from that. That we don't play these teams often, so it's kind of unpredictable in terms of what we can bring against some of these teams.
And yeah, that's a good point. I've been doing some thinking, and I was thinking about the final against Tottenham, and it kind of coincides with your point of teams not knowing, but we're playing a Premier League team, and we can't seem to win Premier League games. So that's why I'm now more nervous for this final because first of all, we haven't even beat Tottenham this season. I don't even wait. When was the last time we even beat Tottenham? Which is crazy to say. And then we're gonna play them. And yes, we have the United heritage. Oh, we're in a final. Blah 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 blah. And Tottenham haven't won any trophies. But what we've seen is that we can't win Premier League games, and we're about to play a Premier League opposition, which some may say, play better football than us. They scored. I think they scored the third most goals in the league. Yes, they concede a lot, but they're scoring a lot of goals. And our problem is that we can't score goals, and
Spurs,
we
they've scored the
concede.
third most goals in the league.
I'm pretty sure Tottenham scored the third most goals in the league.
Oh, really?
Which yeah, that's what I'm saying. So at least in the top five scorers in the league, and they're lower than us. You know what I'm saying? And our problem is that we can't score goals, but we can see goals through our own errors. Being because some of our players are just genuinely just not. I think our entire squad is overrated. Even players that we rate, I think there's some of them are overrated as well. Like it's just everything about United right now is just I don't. It's just so many question marks. It's just so many question marks. But I would say I do think that Amorim should stay regardless if he wins the final or not. Um, I think I'm just gonna keep saying that we're gonna win, but I'm a bit wary of Tottenham because of the whole Premier League aspect of it. Will they come in and play like how they've been playing against us in this entire season, and they've done well with that. Some games we didn't even score the 3-0. I can remember. Even the 4-3 as well. Like we didn't. That was probably the best one. I don't even think we should have lost that game. I think that was just through our own errors, but it was a lot of rotation, right? Because it was a cup game. I'm pretty sure, right? Was it?
Yeah, it was a cup game, Carabao Cup.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. The Bender had a whatever, had a blunder with I think 2 goals, and it's like a Son score from a corner or whatever, whatever. And that's the last time we played Tottenham, I'm pretty sure. So it wasn't that bad. So we have that bit of, maybe a bit of something there to say, all right, maybe we can get something um in this final. I mean, for me, Amr has to win that final. Being 16th in the league, it's just going to damage his reputation in so many different ways because you're coming from Sporting mid-season. Yes, it's hard, but you're winning the league there. You come and play 16th in the Premier League, and then you win nothing. Then it's like, all right, what? It's everything else is just hope at that point. We're just
Yeah, I
hoping
think
that in the
I
summer we
think
get. Go ahead, go ahead.
I was looking at the table and yeah, Spurs they've
Mm,
scored like 63 goals and they've conceded like 59, right?
right.
And I've always said any success of any team comes down to having a striker that can score goals. And at least for Spurs, they've had players like Ben Johnson, um, they've had
Solanke.
Solanke. Richards, I don't think he has scored much this season, but they
Even
still have
Madison is
more.
scoring.
Yeah,
Kulusevski is
Madison.
scoring. Like,
Yeah. So they have more players in the forward line that scores compared to the United players, especially in the Premier at least. You know what I'm saying? Um, but in terms of Amorim, like, I
mm,
don't think for me personally, in my opinion, I don't think it would damage his reputation. Um, I think he should have done a bit better this season.
yeah.
I think the players are actually better than what they're showing
Mm,
honestly. Because at the end of the day, when these players leave United, we see that they go to different teams and they perform better. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Scott
Yeah.
McTominay, not saying that he should have still been at United, but he went to Napoli, he's doing well. And I'm sure that United will have players in our squad like that Premier League teams would take, like the Garnachos of the world, Harry Maguire, Ugarte, teams in the Premier League would take some of these players. We saw, Jesse Lingard at one point went to West Ham and he had a good,
Great loan
half
as
a
well.
season or whatever the case is on that loan spell.
Yeah.
So for me, I think as a trophy that stands there to be won, we need to win it
Yeah.
because it's a trophy. At the end of the day, we need to like celebrate that. However, if he doesn't win it, I don't think it's a detriment to, in my opinion, it's a detriment to the club that they're not going to be in the Champions League because the Champions League can bring in extra money.
Mm,
But I'm at a stage right now where I rather see the squad build rather than like we're jumping the gun a few years ahead. I feel like what Arsenal is facing now is that when they found themselves in that initial title race a couple years ago, right? I felt like that kind of like they kind of just found themselves in it. You know what I'm saying? It's not a
yeah.
case where they kind of built into it because the expectation for them that season was to get top four. It wasn't
Yeah.
to go into a title race or whatever the case is, but you know what? Guess what? They won games, they were in it, and eventually they lost out. So I feel like they kind of jumped the gun, not intentionally, but it just happened by accident, you know? So with United, I want us to like actually build a squad, build a like ethos or whatever the case is, right?
Yeah.
And then we'll see like steady progression. Listen, I want us to win the trophy. You know, I want to troll the Arsenal
Yeah.
fans. You know, I don't
Definitely.
want anyone to be trolling United. So I want us to win the trophy. But in terms of the aspect of like us playing a Premier League team that they knows inside out, I think the thing for United that's going for them, and we've seen this with big clubs before, is that having that history on your side, and not that it works out all the time, but having that history on your side, and I think United has a bit more character within the players, like the likes of a Bruno Fernandes, the likes of a Casemiro, the likes of a
Ahmad.
Ahmad Diallo, who has been one of our best players, right? I think he has probably been better than some of the Spurs players as well.
Yeah.
He could easily walk into the Spurs team, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. 100%.
Um,
Yeah. 100%.
as Harry Maguire has been like, I don't want to say a revelation, but he has improved a little bit. So, and some of these players, they would have been coming off the back of a Europa League loss against Villarreal a couple of seasons. You know, the Luke Shaws of the world, the Harry Maguire. I think Bruno Fernandes would have been in the team at that time. I don't think Ahmad
Ahmad
was.
lost the final with Rangers and with us as well.
Yeah, I don't think Ahmad. I think he was still. I think he was contracted to the club. I think he probably was on loan or whatever the case is, right? You
Yeah.
know, Rashford and those guys were there, but they're not here anymore. So I think you still have one or two players who they would have experienced that. The club would have experienced that. So I think having that character, having some. Well, the only serial winner we have to an extent is Casemiro. You know what I'm saying? But I still
Yeah.
think we have some players within the squad who they've garnered enough experience, whether it's like going to a final or having that run, like the Harry Maguire example. You know, Andre Onana, I know he's a shit keeper, but still, he's
Yeah.
experienced a final. He has won a
Yeah.
Scudetto, whatever the case is. So I think
Yeah.
we kind of have that on our side compared to the Spurs players who they're just finding themselves in this moment for the first time. Majority of them, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's
But
true. I was gonna say.
the only one thing for me is not even so much the league form against Spurs, us
Mm,
losing three times against them. It's more of the fact that Ange always says that he wins a trophy in his second season,
that's
and
a
the fact
good
that they've
point.
had such a bad season and still found a way to boot themselves into a final, like they're going to be up for it just as much as us, if not more. That they've had a terrible season. This team hardly goes to final, so the fact that they found them place in one, they found themselves in one, then it's a bit worrying for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Totally agree with you. It's both for both clubs. We're technically in the exact same position. If we don't win, then you question the manager. You ask what happens from there. Like I think Spurs are a little bit different for their kind of standards. I think that this is on second season or first season.
Second.
Right, exactly. This is Ange's second season. So I believe maybe for Spurs, if they lose, then sacking him is more likely for that situation. But Amorim came in mid-season, and then Ineos didn't give him anything in January other than Dorgu. That's another major point I wanted to talk about. Like Ineos brought this man in and then just said, yeah, we're not giving you anything really in January, and to just make this squad work. Even though we've
Well, the
seen,
thing is, I think to be
listen,
fair, in the January window, you know, they've talked about cost cutting and expenses at the club
mhm,
not having money, whatever the case is. I think January would have always been a difficult window
mhm,
to get players in the door. Mikel Arteta kind of face that problem as well, although I think it's kind of different to an extent. However, with United and the January transfer window, other than Dorgu, who else could we have gotten? Maybe we could have gotten a striker in the door that could have
yeah,
helped us. But then again, it would have been difficult in the sense of, okay, are you going to bring in like a long term replacement? Or is it like a short term, put him on a short term contract, low wages, whatever the case is, but can still bring in the goods? The last thing you want to do is bring in somebody who's just going to not score goals and add to the fuckery with
yeah, yeah.
Rasmus
No,
Højlund, you know what I'm saying? On
I
a short
understand what
term
you're
basis.
saying. Like
So,
that whole aspect of it is true. That
yeah.
whole
And
aspect of it is
the good thing is, hopefully the Cunha deal gets done before the transfer window opens, right? So if you
yes,
get that deal done, that's one first team player through the door, and then you can at least go into transfer window in summer and get like 4 or 5 more first team players. You know what I'm saying? Or
yeah,
mix and match between first team and squad. So January for me was always going to be difficult. That's why Amorim stated he wanted to come in the summer where you could have probably gotten rid of players, brought through players, or whatever the case is, right? It was always going to be a difficult job using someone else's players. You know what I'm saying? But then
yeah.
again, let me ask you this question, right? Do you
It
think
is
if Eric Ten Hag was here, what position would you think? Because when Eric Ten Hag was here, we were, I think we were outside the top 10, right?
we were eighth, I think. I think
Eighth.
we finished eighth.
All right. Well, said there about
But yeah, I understand what you mean.
what do you think, or what do you think? You think Ten Hag would have been like maybe found a formula to like? All right. The thing is,
Mm.
Because I mean, Rafael Varane did an interview a couple of months ago, right? When he stated he was surprised that Ten Hag was given an extension because of the fact that he kind of lost the dressing room at the end of the season last
He
season,
did. He
even
did.
despite the FA Cup win. So could he have made amends with the players this season at the early stages to find the formula to like at least have us in a better position than Ruben Amorim? Like you think so? Like would have maybe been not 16th or so?
I don't think it would be. I think we would probably be like 12th or something because even looking at last season, we finished 8th, but we all know that we got lucky last season with so many games. We were getting outplayed. We were conceding 20 plus shots a game and just getting outplayed every single game. And somehow, some way, we're finding a 1-0 win here and there, a 2-1 win here and there because the other team just can't finish their dinner. But I think this season, the teams are finishing their dinner. Because if you look at, I'm not a stats man, really, Richard, but if you want to look at like our expected points from Manchester United, we were in the bottom half for most of last season, the same exact way that we are right now. It's just that again, we're not getting the luck of winning the game here and there. We're just losing the games we should lose because of how we're playing. Because I think we were playing similarly. I don't think we were playing badly last season under Ten Hag as well in most games the same way. Just obviously it's a different system, but we're still playing badly. We're still not scoring goals, still missing chances, still conceding stupid goals. And even last season we were conceding more shots than this season. Because this season we're not, even though we're losing games, we're not getting smashed every week. We're losing 1-0 to Wolves, 1-0 to Nottingham Forest, and maybe a 2-1 loss here and there. We're not getting absolutely whitewashed every single game. So I don't think that Ten Hag would do significantly better if he was here right now, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I would like to believe, knowing that this was his squad, he could have done something to get more out of them.
Hmm.
But then again, as Varane said, he kind of lost the players to an extent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because he was continuously having issues. As we all know, he had history with Ronaldo, Sancho. At one point in time, Rashford started to misbehave. There was problems with Marcus Rashford. Anthony was his favorite, kind of teacher split, and he wasn't performing. And he can't.
Ahmad, he wasn't playing.
Yeah,
Ahmad,
the,
he
the
did.
thing is, I think it was a good thing that he left because Ahmad would have never been a revelation under Eric Ten Hag. And the funny thing
Yeah,
is, he normally would perform under Ten Hag, and then Ten Hag would still bench him.
yeah,
You know, so I mean, it is what it is. So my answer is that yeah, Amorim should stay. It would be premature to sack him at the end of the season. Like bro, nobody becomes successful with just walking through the door and not putting your own things in place. That's like you hire like a CEO for a company. He comes in midway through and somebody else like messed up the company for like 10 years straight or like 2 years straight. And you expect this guy to just come in and be like, oh, by the snap of a finger, like
yeah. Just
the company is
everything's great.
profitable.
Like we're all good.
Sometimes it takes like maybe like 2 or 3 years prior to him coming in for the company
Yeah,
to be profitable. So with Ruben Amorim, I'm not saying it's going to take like 2 to 3 seasons prior to when he just came in for us to like succeed. It could take maybe like 1.5 seasons. But you definitely have to give Amorim his tools, right? You're
yeah,
talking about a manager with a different philosophy than Eric Ten Hag. You're talking about a manager with a different philosophy than Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp, Arne Slot. So you have to give him the players that can fit within his philosophy so that he can then have a run next season, right? So if United was supposed to like say by January we're like in 15th or even before that, if he gets his players through the door, right,
mm,
and he, God forbid, is in like 14th place.
yeah.
Once
Then
he's
yeah,
outside of let me tell you, if before January Ruben Amorim is outside of the top 10 before January next season, then I think he might have to go.
yeah. I agree. I completely agree with you
Because
because
if you're in the top 10 and you're like 8th place and you're like 6 points from top four, that,
top
that
four.
type of
Yeah,
thing,
that's
then like
fine.
that's not bad because you still have like a lot of games to play. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because I
So,
don't think what wait, sorry to cut you off. What is your expectations for next season, even if he gets his players? Because we're probably gonna finish like 15th, 16th, or whatever like that. We're not gonna go from 15th to just finishing the top four, top five. I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't think we're just gonna go to make that huge jump to there. So do you
well,
think that that's gonna happen or what?
the thing with football that's funny is like, we can sit here and make our predictions.
Mm,
However, who would have thought that first would have been in the top four, like for some point in the season,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Who would have thought that Villa at one point would have finished in a Champions League position, right? Who would have thought that City would have had this type of drop off? Who would have thought that Spurs and United would have been this bad, right?
yeah,
So on paper, you look at these squads and you're like, okay, this squad's supposed to finish in the top five or whatever the case is. So for me, for United, like, okay, I don't see the players that's like leaving as yet. Well, we kind of have the idea, but having an idea of the players that's leaving is it's dull, especially if they don't eventually leave. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
However, I don't know the players that he's going to get through the door. Until then, I can only make an assessment to say where they can actually finish. However, if I had an idea, right, where these players coming through are much more improved than what we currently have, I would say maybe like a top six finish. Fight for top six. No,
Yeah, I
fight for
agree.
top four, but finish in the top six.
Yeah, hundred
Fight
percent.
for top four, but finish in the top six, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that would be my expectation. You know what I'm saying? However, yeah, fight for top four is my expectation, but finish in the top six.
Yeah, because all right, what do you say? Because Amrin did come up with some comments like yesterday after the game. He looked like he's just tired. He just looks tired, but he came up with some realism. He said that with this squad, he thinks that honestly it'd be better if we play one game a week and get that used to that winning feeling and get to like then instead of playing in the Champions League straight away, he thinks it'd be better for the squad to play one game a week. So do you agree with what he's saying in that sense? Do you think that with this squad and players that he brings in, it'd be better for us to play one game a week than just to go Champions League, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, go straight into it? What do you think about that?
Uh I think in the Premier League you can register 25 players, right?
Yeah,
Champions League I think it's like maybe 23, 25.
yeah,
Somewhere about around that, right? So for
yeah,
me, it's like um the one game a week type of thing. We've seen Chelsea do it before. I think at that point they won the title, right? I think Arsenal did it at one point, and even the season when they challenged the first time initially for the league, I think it was just one game a week that they were playing.
yeah. They
But
were
it's
they were
after
in
that
the
that they
European
qualified for
competition.
Champions League. So they only had the Premier League, Carabao Cup, and FA Cup. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
And
To go finish
obviously they
eight.
would have benefited from that. That's it. That season they didn't even have as much injuries. Um,
True.
so for me, in terms of one game a week, I've said that before to an extent, and it's like, bro, when you play in the Champions League next season, you have a couple more additional games. Because normally in the previous group stage format, you would play, so you have three teams, one, two, three, four, five, six. You play 6 games, right?
Yeah.
This season, in the new Champions League, you play additional 2 games. Is it that
Yep.
additional 2 games, right?
Yeah.
Which
So
two
you
is not
get
really, it's not really much, but still, when you're traveling that much, then it takes a toll on the legs. You know what I'm saying? So with those additional 2 games, you know, you actually have to have a fit enough squad, a squad that's good enough. And then the thing with the Champions League that's dangerous as well. If you finish outside of the top eight, you have to play additional game in the playoff run as well. You know what I'm saying?
hmm
And then you're going to the round of 16. So that's like even more games. So for me, it's like I wouldn't mind us not getting Champions League next season if it means playing one game a week and actually building the squad next season. And then the other season we can actually try to finish comfortably in the top four.
Yeah. I can see that point. Me
And
personally,
and
I
one
would
thing as
go.
well, you see,
Go ahead.
for
Go
me,
ahead.
bro, as a fan, I don't try to get into the politics of football, like the financial discrepancies and all that type of BS.
Right.
Like, bro, I'm not no mathematician. I don't have a doctorate or whatever the case is in accounting. So when I see fans come on YouTube on these different platforms and they're like, oh, the club is losing 30 million pounds every quarter of the year, whatever the case is. Like, bro,
Yeah.
to me, it doesn't concern me. I just care about what the players are doing on the pitch.
Doing it on the pitch.
And
Yeah. It has
I
nothing to
just
do
want
with
to know
me.
that the Ineos guys are putting the right people in place, having the right scouts to get the right players in so that they can perform and the coach can help those players to perform as well. The
Yeah.
money aspect of these clubs, I don't think it matters in terms of getting players through the door, but I don't think it matters as much as how some fans make it out to be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's not our money. It's not our money at all. We need to see performances on the pitch. That's what we need. That's our main concern as fans, in my opinion. So I completely agree with you in that whole financial aspect of things. Because as I said, as you said, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a what I don't have a financial whatever background. So I'm not into all that kind of thing. So I just want to see players are brought in, no matter who they are, honestly, and they just go and perform on the pitch and show me something. And with that, you win things, you win money as well with it. If you win on the pitch, you win money. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Especially as Manchester United. So I think we need to be in the Champions League next season for these same financial reasons that people may be mentioning, because how Ineos are moving right now, it looks like they're just trying to save money, right? So I think if we don't go in Champions League next season, we are probably, yes, we might probably sell half the squad, but who are we gonna bring in with no Champions League football? You know what I'm saying? Like we might
yeah,
not be able to attract the same level of players, and then we might have another, might finish eighth next season because we don't have that level of players to push any higher. And some may say, oh, we finished eighth this season and not 17th last season, but no one wants to finish eighth next season. None of us actually want to finish eighth. We want to at least have a European spot next season as well under this manager, because you can't go from 17th, not win Europa League, and then not finish in the European space the season after. I just don't think that is like that's good. You know what I mean? Like I
But
don't know what
what
you
I
think
will
about
say as
that,
well
but
is like the success of United next season, if we stand any chance of finishing in the top four, top six,
mm,
it comes down to Amorim, but I think it more comes down to what Ineos does in this transfer window.
yeah,
If Ineos approaches this transfer window where they're a bit like a daisical or kind of slow in terms of getting quality players through the door, then that predicts where we can basically finish next season. You can then make an assessment to say that, listen, this squad with those players leaving and not bringing through enough players, especially quality and players that can add depth to the squad, then this is a team that's going to probably finish top eight or eighth position or ninth, you know. So
yeah,
if they get players in the door, like say they get like a Cunha, and again, let me tell you the top four thing. If Ineos goes into this transfer window and they get like the likes of Cunha and they get the likes of Edison, I'm hearing about from Italy, and they
mm,
get the likes of Goicores or Victor Osimhen, bro, if those are the caliber players that they're getting, then I expect that United should be finishing in the top four.
yeah. No,
In the top four. If those are the expensive players of such quality and ilk that they're going to get, then I'm sorry, Amar, but you have to finish in the top four
you
next
have
season. You
to.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you have to with those kind of players coming in. I don't know what Ineos are gonna do. I really don't. I'm not sure about Ineos. We haven't seen like for me, if we do deals quickly, it's gonna tell the whole world that we're changed from our previous years, because we're used to, and everyone knows that we're used to just waiting 3 months to complete one deal, and then we're just scattering at the end of the transfer window, trying to find players to fill in the gaps because of how long we took in deal, or we may lose players because we took too long. You know what I'm saying? Like Olise comes to mind first of all. I think we could have got him if we did Dally Lag and just wait so long. I know he's at Bayern and he won the league, has an amazing season. He could have been doing that for us, maybe. You know what I'm saying? Um, so if we go and get Acuna quickly, get that done quickly in early in transfer window, get a Oshimen, sorry. Even a Delap, for example. Even a Delap. I'm not one, I don't really want Delap. I don't think he's gonna come in and do a crazy thing, but that's not important right now. Do those deals quickly, we can just attract players, regardless if we have European football or not. We'll be able to attract better players because they're like, okay, you know, you're looking serious. You know what I'm saying? They're signing these players. They really want to push for next season. So that might give players looking at that, might give a little bit of motivation to be like, you know what? Yeah, man, I would play for United. They seem to really be trying to do something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So yeah, that's my assessment of the whole Ruben Amorim situation. Again, you cannot not give someone the tools to fish basically and expect them to fish.
Yeah,
Like this is not, bro. Fishing would be harder like centuries ago when you have to like probably like dive into the water, like you have a spear and like you have to like really have good eyes to
yeah,
like
really
look
go
into
at
the
it. Yeah,
water, and you have to like stick the fish. Whereas no, like you have like these, for the lack of a better word right now, these sonar booms or GPS trackers
fishing
or whatever the
rods
case is, where like
and
you can
baits
put
and
things in the water. Like
yeah,
so when you do that, it's easier to fish. You know what I'm saying? All these technological advancements with fishing poles, etc. You know, cameras. So it's easier if you give a fisherman tools now compared to like a couple of years ago. You know what I'm saying? Where a couple of years ago, it probably would take like 5 hours to catch like 10 fishes, where now
yeah,
it takes like an hour to catch like even 20 fishes, right? So
yeah,
you have to give Amorim the players to and the tools to like fast track this thing to get results. And listen, I'm gonna be honest, bro. I think maybe United. I think maybe we'll have to start developing like a sacking culture. Well, I don't want to say that to be honest, right? It's just that, bro, for United, bro, like, bro, we should be like in bed with God in the sense that, bro, God should be our best friend where we could ask God, like, okay, who should be the next manager that's just going to come in and be successful at United?
mm,
United is about success, bro. Like, even next season, bro, shit, we should be winning the Premier League and the Champions League. That's
mm,
just how big of a club and the expectation should be for a club like United, you know? So
yeah,
even me sitting here and saying, oh, fight for top four, and if not finishing the top six, like, no, bro, like, I should be saying, like, shit, bro, like, go there and get the best players in the world. I'm not talking about name brand players. Get the
yeah,
genuine best players in the world that fit the system and go on and push for a trophy next season, you know?
yeah.
But it's not straightforward like that,
It's not
unfortunately.
realistic. It's not our realistic goals right now
Yeah.
for what with position that we're in. Like we should be pushing for more, but it's just we just don't have that right now. We're just not in that stage, as a club. But yeah, people, let me know what y'all think in the comments down below. Check out Full What? Sorry, Full 90 with Kish. Check out his channel. Great content over there. You know what I'm saying? Go and subscribe. Go like all his videos. He does videos all the time. You know what I'm saying? Almost every day. This man he's a workhorse. He's a workhorse, man.
But I didn't
Um,
really post much last week, so I need to work on that.
yeah, but don't worry, man. Just go check out his channel. He'll have all the content for you people, man. All the good content for you people. But don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and I will see y'all in the next video. Peace out.